Every established business that we celebrate today was once an idea that's moved into a fledgling business and now an establishment that we all celebrate. On the minds of many people today is how do you move that idea into a business and a business that will really stand the test of time? To help us draw insights on how to develop a business from an idea to an establishment that will stand the test of time is an accomplished banker with experience in finance, strategy, marketing, and accounting across many industries. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Blb, help me welcome our guest for today, Alfred. Alfred Yabua Naughty, aka Mashal.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you today.
Thank you.
Good to have you. How have you been?
I have been okay. I've been in the industry for the past 14 to 15 years.
14 to 15
in the
years.
banking industry.
That's a decade and 5 years.
Yeah,
Or a decade and half a decade.
you can say so.
That's a lot of years you
Yeah,
spent.
yeah.
And how has the experience in the banking space been for you? You have seen haircuts.
Yeah, we've seen
Afro.
haircuts, and even and even before that, we had the banking sector cleanup.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
amalgamated some of the banks together.
Mm.
Some had to go off as well. There were some that stood the test of time because of their rigorous structures that they had put in place. And begs the question, I mean, sustainability.
Yeah.
Building to life.
And I'm sure that you saw a lot of businesses that suffered because of these cleanups, probably because of some of the decisions those businesses took. But before we get into that, let us welcome our guest on today's show. You are welcome. And as I said, this discussion is with Alfred, aka Mashal. And I'm sure that you are here with your pens and your papers and you have so many questions to ask. But we have to do this in this way. So I'm going to give a few ground rules. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. As the conversation goes on, we'll be picking up on those questions and we'll be addressing them. And if you are watching this video alone, you want to share with a friend, a fellow Blb, or anyone that you think is into business, I believe that this is going to help them a great deal. So, Marshall, I think I'll prefer to call you Marshall. This Blb Connect, so we can go back in the day.
No worries, Kobina. It's fine.
So, tell us a bit about what you have come to understand about fledgling businesses, especially from your banking experience.
Well, I would say that over the last few years, there have been people who have done banking far more than I have. But over the last few years that I've been in banking, working with commercial businesses, SME clients, things that have put in rigorous structures and systems. We've seen some that have put in a bit of lax. The business wholly depends on that individual person. And when you compare the two, you realize that those who have been able to marshal their forces together and put in structures stand the test of time. Those who sort of hinge the business solely on an individual, when they are not around, the business grinds to a halt, do not last and do not stand the test of time. The reason why in this age we need to build sustainable businesses that when they are birthed can stand the test of time from generation to generation. I mean, I've seen businesses, especially in the pharmaceutical industry, where you see the owner pass on the business onto his son, onto his children, because he put in structures and systems, carry them along so that the vision continues. And that is where African businesses and Ghanaian businesses of the sort, that's where we want to go to.
Yeah.
Stand the test of time. Even when you are not around, the business continues.
Great. So drawing those businesses that will really stand the test of time based on the structures that the owners will build. But I'm sure we'll come to the conversation of talking about how one can move from an owner to a CEO and actually build a legacy.
Exactly.
But before we even think of becoming an owner to move to a CEO and build a legacy, let's start with the idea of starting a business. You see, today I believe that a lot of young people have become a bit more aware.
Okay.
because we have seen how our parents and our grandparents worked in the system and didn't really make much out of it. They were so glued to their work,
Yeah.
and they didn't work for themselves in a way. You know, some of them were even very entrepreneurial, but because of fear, we're not able to move those ideas into business, right? So today, for a young person who has seen generations work in the corporate space and didn't really make as much money as they thought they should have, and now wants to create his own business, he has this amazing idea in their mind. How does that person, right, move from idea to the ground? How do you build that business you have in your mind, bring it to the market for it to serve a need that is in the market?
Yeah, Kobna, thanks. That's a valid question. You know, as we were growing up, we also are parents, especially those who are salary workers, work from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. We see them coming back so tired. They were working for someone, all right? And it's good that the youth of today are trying to venture into businesses where they want to do something for themselves than to work for somebody. But two key things. For the youth of today who want to venture into business and do something for themselves, it is good that you understudy someone. All right. It is good for you to start from somewhere, like working for someone, where you get to learn the ropes of how the person runs the business. Okay. So, I mean, after national service, of course, you're working for government. It's good to, I mean, enter into a corporation or a company where you get to see things being done from the business point of view. Okay, that gives you the sense of how a business is run. All right. So you are an employee first, but your vision is to grow into an employer. Get into the shoes of an employee. Okay, work in the company, learn the right attitudes of work, getting to work early, um, doing work as you are assigned to do, and even multitasking. All right, these skills and attributes groom you to be able to start your own business in future.
Okay.
The second point is that the youth of today need to learn mentorship. All right, mentorship is very key because the road that we lead or we walk on today has been walked on by somebody before.
Yes.
All right. So you want to start a delivery business. You want to start a pharmacy business. You want to enter into agribusiness. Get into contact with those who have done it before. All right.
Okay.
And let them mentor you. Let them show you the way it is done. If it is spending about 6 months in their company free of charge without taking any pay, just to learn on the ropes, I believe the youth of today need to venture into that so that you can learn all the skills, make all the mistakes before you start on your own. So key, work for a company, learn all the skills, and then mentorship from somebody who has run that race before.
So understudy people, mentorship. So understudy can be like same as apprenticeship.
Sort of, yes. And when you look at our vocational sector today, carpentry, masonry, plumbing work, that is the sort of training that people need to undergo. Okay, so you go to somebody's shop, is a mechanic, you are understudying for one year, 12 months. You are not paid. Okay, you are just giving maybe a stipend or an allowance.
Yeah.
You want to start a tech business where you build an app, get somebody who has built an app before, go and understudy the person for 6 months, for 12 months, no pay, learn the ropes in the person's office so that when you start off, you've made all the mistakes already, you'll be able to run with the business.
So if I get you right, you are telling us that to start a business is not, you don't need a great idea. You need the right attitude.
Exactly.
So to start a good business, you don't need a great idea, you need the right attitude.
You know, they say that attitude will take you far where skills cannot take you. So you may have the right skills for a particular job,
Yes.
but if your attitude is poor,
Yes.
you will not be able to make it as an employee. That's one. Two, as an employer or an entrepreneur who you aspire to be, if you have the skills, you have the idea to launch a particular business, but you do not have the right attitude to be able to sustain that business, your business will come down crumbling. So young men of today need to develop the right attitude. And I'm sure as we go through the conversation, we'll learn about some of the attitudes. Showing up on time, getting work done as you are supposed to do. And that's the right attitude towards it.
That's interesting. When you spoke about skill and attitude, it just took me back to the story of Mike Tyson. You know, Mike Tyson was extremely skilled, but he almost made a shipwreck of himself in terms of how he manages money, because he had a skill, but I don't think he had a good attitude, because he was picking up a lot of street fights and things like that, that making a lot of frivolous spending. That really worried him, and I think that is very. You can also relate that to what you said about business.
Exactly.
So now that you have learned the skill, you have the right skill. So someone will ask, how long should I stay under apprenticeship to learn the right skill? Is there a blueprint, or are there certain things that can be like indicators that I have the skill and now I can move?
Well, there's no hard and fast rule as to the number of months or years you can spend as an apprentice or learning under the ropes under someone. I think it evolves from industry to industry.
Right.
When you take agribusiness, for instance, and I'm passionate about agribusiness, the youth of today need to learn how to do agribusiness right on the field. Right? You cannot sit in somebody's office or your office and then learn how to do agribusiness, because agriculture has become a business. That's why now it's agribusiness. Okay. So, and you know, in Ghana we have two seasons. All right, we have the dry and the wet season. We have the northern belt and the southern belt. Are you able to learn on the ropes through these seasons? So, if you want to enter into maize production, you want to enter into pineapple production, cassava, are you able to go through the various seasons, learning from someone? Is one season enough for you to learn and make all the mistakes? All right. Cassava, we know, takes about 9 months to cultivate.
Okay.
Are you able to stand the test of time? Where throughout the 9 months you're on the field, whatever they are applying in terms of seedlings, chemicals, fertilizer, as a youth, you go through that process with them throughout the 9 months to be able to learn effectively how to cultivate on your own. That's one. There are short gestation period crops like pepper, chili pepper, there's tomatoes. So those are maybe 4 months, thereabouts.
Yeah.
So that's a bit shorter. Are you willing to go through those particular 4 months? Is one season enough, or you have to learn another season to be able to get to grasp with how it is done? So I would say it varies from industry to industry, but you will be ready, I would say, when your master tells you are ready. As an apprentice, you are ready to venture out on your own when your master tells you are ready.
That's a very interesting one. You know, so we are saying that, taking for granted that your master wants the best for you. So if you probably have a master who is so interested about the kind of output you are giving him, he might be reluctant in letting you go. But let's not dwell on that. So now that
those are hard taskmasters. Yes.
There are always exceptions, right? There are always exceptions. So now that you've had the attitude, there's one thing about running business that I've noticed, and it comes with the finances. The way you manage finances. I have run a couple of businesses, right? And I came, those days I used to manage the finances myself, and then it wasn't going the way I expected, and I had to now spend money to get a professional to help me manage the finances. And then I was able to see my cost element, my revenue element, and I was able to make decisions on whether this is something that I should go into or stay invested in. So the question is, how do you determine what your revenue and your cost elements are? And how do you draw that line on whether the business is profitable? Because sometimes it might not be bringing you the money that you expect, but maybe it has prospects. How do you determine all those prospects from the books, from data? Because sometimes the feelings is not enough. Somebody has done it, doesn't mean that when you do it to work. So how can you use data to make those decisions?
So yes, let me pick up from where you left off. Somebody has done it doesn't mean that when you do it you'll be successful.
Yes.
I remember in October 2024, one friend of mine approached us and said he wants to start supplying one of the ministry's laptops. So I asked him, what's the purpose? And that's one fundamental thing about starting a business. You need to understand the purpose of the business. So clarity of purpose in starting a business is very important. So when he approached, I was like, why do you want to do this supply? It was, okay, an uncle I knew got a contract from the ministry and he made a lot of profit. So I believe it's a good thing for me to venture into. So he's going into the business because somebody has done it and has been successful. And that is the motive. So he's starting off on the wrong footing. Now, this uncle of his knows somebody in government. That's why he got the contract.
Okay.
And you are now going in without knowing anybody there. All right. Fast forward, he was able to get in touch with the uncle. They got him a contract. However, fortunately, unfortunately, government changed hands. He did the supplies with his funds, borrowed from someone, and the funds are stuck now. Up to now, he hasn't been paid.
Wow.
So he started a business because somebody has done it. And the fact that somebody has done it doesn't mean that you will be successful. So you need to understand initially your purpose for starting a business. Key amongst it is your passion. What is your passion? What will you do when somebody doesn't even pay you? That is the starting point for businesses, okay? And when you start with passion, it drives you and helps you to build a successful business. Number two, we need to enforce capacity building, all right, for business owners, for entrepreneurs starting a business. I always say that in order to be able to effectively manage your finances as a business, understand your revenue and then your cost, you need to know, and that is capacity building. As a business owner, do you understand how you generate revenue? Do you understand the dynamics as to when prices fall on the market compared to your product, how it will influence the demand for your product? When you are starting off, do you start off in a room, quite a big room where you incur a lot of rent, when you haven't even made your first sale? Those are the things and dynamics we need to understand. When you juxtapose your revenue against your cost, that gives you profit. But for initial startup businesses, when you are launching, the focus is not too much on profit. You want to build a loyal customer base. So when you understand the drivers of your revenue and that these customers are the ones that bring in the money, then you put in an efficient customer service system that will cater for these clients so that they would always come back. And in banking, we call it repeat customers. All right. Are you able to sell to those repeat customers such that if you are not around, they will not buy any other product? If you give them those particular laptops, they would always refer you to other customers to be able to buy those laptops. And those are the dynamics. It is good to employ professionals, okay, to look after your finances, chartered accountant, look after your revenue, prepare financial statements for you. But as a businessman, as you grow, you yourself need to understand what these financials mean. So that when the accountant stands in front of you and presents your financials, you know what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it cannot pass around you. Yes.
Yeah.
So capacity building is key for the youth of today and for business owners in understanding their revenue and cost structure.
So talking of capacity building, right? Are there any courses or any books that you can recommend to people starting business or people in business to help them understand finance?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that because COVID came to help us a lot, even though it did a lot of damage. One of the things that COVID taught us was that we could actually learn online for free.
Yeah.
All right. So these days, if you want to understand how your revenue is generated, your cost levels are, you can go on YouTube, sign up to a course. You can go to Udemy, sign up to a free financial statement course. You can go to Coursera. And these are online tools that have been made available. Most of them are for free for business owners to take advantage of. One of the things I always say is that when you learn for yourself. You do not learn for any other person. And that's what I teach my children.
Yeah.
When you learn, nobody can take what you have learned away from you because it's stuck with you. So business owners need to effectively enforce capacity building in their jobs, in their workplaces as well. So as a CEO, you've done these courses online, you are good at it, but how do you also translate these learnings onto your staff as you grow? So a system that helps to train staff is also very critical. So as you build your personal capacity, build the capacity of your staff as well. So
Yeah.
that as you grow, you carry them along with the vision. If you are not around, they have the same expertise, the same knowledge base to be able to run the business, which is very critical.
Great, great. So now that you've learned how to um, bring that conceptualized idea into fruition,
Yeah.
put the idea to the market, understand the market needs, put it out there. You've built your capacity. You understand finances a bit.
Yeah.
The finances that run your business. So like let's look at the micro factors that run your business.
Right.
You know, there are also macro factors, the external factors.
Yeah.
Like we have the personal analysis, the political, economic, social, and all these things.
Technological and all that.
You know, and when these things come and they hit in, sometimes your micro factors can be
shaken,
can be
right?
shaken. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you build an environment or a financial system that is resilient to macro factors that might cause turbulence in the business?
Wow. So that's true. I mean, when you talk of external factors, there's a saying that you cannot do much to external factors than for internal factors, because internal factors are within your control.
Correct.
In the past few years, when government introduced the COVID levy, for instance, there's not much that you can do about it because it's built into how you price and all that. So there's not much you can do about it. But business can develop system that will help them to manage those shops, all right, and be more resilient. And I think one of the key things is to leverage on technology.
Okay.
All right. If you leverage on technology, it sort of shields you from most of the shocks that are translated from the external system. Let me give you an example. So, for businesses that run, let's say buy and sell, they trade. All right. Government has implemented this levy that sort of increases price. Are you able to develop a software, all right, that helps you in your sales? So I remember I walked into a supermarket right on my road, a small supermarket. But this lady, for the past 5 years, didn't have any software running the system. You know, our small supermarkets. But just about 2 months ago, he had implemented a software that helps him to track his inventory. That helps him to track the sales that is being done on a daily basis. She's been able to identify the particular products that are moving so well, so that he can probably adjust the prices of those products, because those products
Yeah,
they are fast moving.
Yeah.
So this lady is able to do all this analysis weekly, monthly basis to be able to withstand the shocks, the levies that are priced into the products. All right. So technology is very key. One of the things technology will also help you is the fact that, you know, as we work with people, people have their own ambition. So to be able to monitor people, check people, they say we don't trust people, we check them.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So she put in a CCTV camera system. All right. That helps to, monitor whether people activities going on. When she's not around, she can monitor on her phone and all that. And this is fantastic. All right. She told me that initially, maybe from last year up to now, when she implemented the system, theft has reduced by more than 40%. All right, because they know that there's somebody watching the watchman. All right, so when you are able to build an efficient technological system, it helps to shield, I won't say 100%, but it helps to shield a part of the external shocks that you face. And one other thing that will help you as well to withstand those shocks is if you understand your market. Recently, we heard Trump impose some tariffs on countries.
Yeah.
All right. If you understand your market, well, we know that once tariffs are applied, prices of the products will shoot up. But come to think of it, if I'm selling a product to the US market, for instance, and that product is not produced in the US, we can name, for instance, pepper, for instance, is not produced in the US market. If the US puts tariffs on this product, okay, and I know that no matter what, the pepper is something which the US needs and they cannot do without. I am insulated because I've done my research to know that this product is in economic we say it's inelastic, all right, in that market. So come what may, they will demand for
You
the
need
product.
it, yeah.
I would not absorb the cost. I'll pass it on to the consumer, or maybe share with the consumer. All right.
Yeah.
So to withstand shocks, we need to research our markets, segment them, and know how we are driving the products to them. If the US is able to have substitute for those products, they can do with other products, not just your own, then you have to be careful. It
Yeah.
means that you have to absorb the cost, making your cost of production more higher.
Making that demand for a product elastic.
Elastic, exactly. So we need to understand our markets, segment them properly, so that when these external shocks happen, we'll be able to target the right segmentations to them. Yes.
So from the conversation, before we leave our viewers out, it has become an intense conversation. We are, if you just joined in, we are having a conversation of how you can build a sustainable business. How you can even conceptualize the idea and push it out and make it a sustainable business. So if you are listening to us and you have a business, if you have a business idea or you are running a business, this is a conversation that you should be interested in. And probably invite even your teammates to listen to this conversation because it's going to go a great deal to help you. And if you're enjoying the conversation, please do tap the like button, the share button, get people to join in. Leave a comment. If you have any questions, leave your questions in the comment section. If you have any contributions, leave it in the comment section and we'll definitely attend to them. This is Block Connect, and we are coming together as all students of Accra Academy to help each other be able to succeed in business and other facets of our lives that are important to us. So now we came into the microenvironment of the business. We're talking about our customers. How do you, as a business owner running a business, what are the workflows that you can put in place to make sure that your customers are managed in a way that is sustainable for the business?
All right. Yes. So when it comes to customer management, it starts from onboarding. All right. So how do you win customers? There should be a system in place where you are able to systematize or operationalize how customers are brought into the business. All right. We spoke about technology. So
Yes.
how do you leverage on online tools for clients to sign up to your products? All right. Would you use traditional media? Would you use social media to get your clients to come on board? Would you walk to wherever they are by opening up branches, all right, for them to access your products, bearing in mind the cost implications that come with, running a branch and all
Yeah.
that. Would you solely rely on the technological options that you have so that wherever they are, they can sign up to your product? So there should be an onboarding workflow, all right, that leverages on how you win customers into the business. If it's technology, of course, systems are run by people. So you need to train your staff to be able to leverage on these tools so that they can efficiently win customers. All right. I know of companies that have used Google Sheets, for instance, to be able to get data on how they can, onboard customers. That's an effective tool. Some use Microsoft Excel, which is quite basic. So the tools are there for businesses, new businesses to take advantage of. Now, after you have brought in the customers, you need to then manage how you deliver the products to them. I would say that one of the key tenets of running a business as a startup is your consistency of delivery. All right, it's your consistency of delivery. So after you have brought the customers in, and now they are patronizing your apples, they are patronizing your bananas, they are buying your oranges. How are you able to consistently deliver efficient customer service to them? When they approach your shop and they are looking for 20 apples to buy, will they get that quantity always? Or there will be times when you have shortage, when they are looking for 20 and they can only get 10. Remember, there are other shops close by. If they get the difference of 10 over there, chances are they may never come to your
Come
shop
back.
again.
Yeah.
So you need to be consistent in the way you deliver to your customers.
Mm.
So that's two. The third is how you manage customer feedback. All right. So there should be a system that tracks what the customers are saying about your products. All right. Avail tools to them for them to give you feedback, whether it's open or in the shop. All right. So if customers come and they pick up 20 apples and they consume at home, give them the opportunity to be able to say that your apples are good, and I'll always come back for more. With this, if you use an
Or your
online
apples are bad. Do something about it.
which is good feedback.
Yeah.
All right, which is good feedback because it gives you the opportunity. We always say in our line of business that feedback is golden. All right,
Okay.
because feedback gives you the opportunity to do things that were wrong right. All
Right.
right, so we shouldn't take feedback as a customer is saying bad things about my business, they don't like me, my business, they are jealous of my business. No, have a positive mindset about feedback and have a system where all the feedback that is given, you are tracking and ensuring that you resolve the issues that are mentioned there. So
Right.
three key things: onboarding workflow, which is very key, and how you manage the consistent delivery of your products and services to them. There should be a system to track that. And finally, the delivery of customer feedback. There should be a system that monitors this feedback, receives it, and addresses the concerns that they raise.
Great. So in building foundational or operational foundation, which we've been talking about, I've seen that you have you have prominently introduced technology,
Yeah.
because all these feedback and all these things, they are made better with tech.
Yeah.
You see, sometimes with tech, so I remember I was consulting for a certain business. Okay, and we are trying to introduce these tech things to them, but
Yeah.
they are so stuck in their ways, because sometimes the cost that you need to set these things up can be pricey,
Okay.
and people tend to pull back when they notice that it is pricey. So as a business owner, probably you do not have that much funds to be able to bring in these pricey tech stuff.
Okay.
What would you say would be the best? So you need them, okay, but you do not have the funds to go in for them. Should you take a loan? Should you wait till you have the money? Because if you wait till they have the money, to sometimes you might lose out.
Yeah.
What's the best way to onboard some of these things?
Yeah. So, fortunately, there are so many tools. Some are even for free available online. All right.
Okay.
So let's take an accounting software for instance. Your business is growing to a stage where now you need to computerize your accounting operations. Okay. There are sophisticated tools out there which are quite pricey. There's Sage, there's Sun software system, accounting software system,
QuickBooks, right?
QuickBooks, and all that. And some of these are, because they come with this licensing and all that, you need to pay some fees, which are quite expensive. But aside that too, you can develop, when you go on YouTube, you can develop your own Microsoft Excel financial tool for your business.
Okay.
All right. So instead of going for QuickBooks, instead of going for Tally, you can rely on Microsoft Excel and start and build up from there. All right. What do you need to do in Microsoft Excel? You need a table that shows how you are bringing in revenue. So the various revenue lines, you itemize them, you put figures to it as you are generating. You itemize your expenditure side, all right, and that gives you the ability to generate or compute your profit as you go along. So there are tools available, all right. If you go online as well, you'll be able to, make it a little bit more complex as you grow. All right. So you can build in formulas, you can build in different sheets that speak to each other as you grow and on. And these are free. These are not
Paid
for
for.
sale, paid for
Okay.
services. So my advice to business as they grow is that they should look out for these free or less costly, tech tools, online tools that would help them to computerize their operations to be able to make life easier for them. Because remember, if you computerize, if you do tech, you make your life easier. You do not want a situation when, as a business, all the records are in your head. All right.
Yeah.
That means that if somebody is looking for information, he always has to come
Come
to
to
you.
you.
But if you are able to develop an Excel where it's even put on a shared drive, for instance, the marketing team, the accounting team, the sales team can always input the expense they make onto the Excel shared drive.
So let me not catch you, but look at this one. If you have a typical person who is running a fledgling business, there's the issue of trust,
Okay.
and then they sometimes they are not willing to open up for other people to see the money that's coming through.
Yeah.
Number one is trust. Number two is transparency. They feel that when the team knows the money that is coming in, they'll begin to ask for more. So they want to keep everything to their chest,
Yeah.
so that people don't know, and sometimes they declare low value so that people do not ask for more salary or remuneration.
Exactly.
What will you say to a business owner working with such a mindset?
I tell you, I remember there was when I started work, I started working the savings and loans, and one of the schools of thought was that when you start work, you don't have to let your family people how much you are earning. You know, they will start coming to you and asking you, okay, you're working in a bank.
Yeah.
Give me this money, give me this money.
Because you're in a bank.
Yeah, you're a banker. Another school of thought was of the view that declare what you are earning to them, all right, and let them know your true state of affairs. When they know your true state of affairs, they are guided into how much they demand from you. So let's say you start off national service, you are earning 1,500 cedis. One school of thought is declare the 1,500. Mom, dad, this is what I am earning. So they cannot come and stand in front of you and say, give me 2,000 cedis for a dress I'm going to buy, because you can't reach there. But if this is shrouded in secrecy, they can come and stand. After all, you are earning a lot of money. Don't mention the figure. They know you are earning a lot of money.
But Masha, the interesting thing is that when you're earning small money,
Yeah.
it's very easy to declare. It's like I need people. Let's say I'm running a business with you. Okay, let's say I've employed you and you're working for me. I declare, Charlie, this is where we are today. The money is not big, so I can't pay you enough. Things like that. The moment things start picking up, then I start hiding the information, because you will see the books, you will see the money, and you now ask for more.
Exactly.
You see?
I mean, that's true. But if you look at it in this light, where if businesses are able to build the capacity of their staff, all right, and then let there be a shared vision, all right. So the vision should be shared, all right. It shouldn't be in secrecy where the owner himself knows that, okay, we are building a world-class delivery service which would be across the African continent in 5 years, and only the owner knows the mission. Only he, shares in the vision. But if there are consistent training, all right, where you share with the team, this is the vision of the company, all right. You are running a company where in 5 years' time, we should be set up in this and this African market. We should be in Kenya. We should be in Uganda. This is where we are going to. And because of that, today, in the next 1 to 2, 3 years, we are sacrificing this. These are the cost line that will be taken out. These are the sacrifices we made, so that together we can get to our destination, the vision we are creating. If business owners are able to open up in that direction, and willingly talk to their staff and train and build them to that level, one, you win their trust. So they will not come and say, okay, I want a loan of say 2 million cedis, when they know that the revenue that is being generated is far less than that.
And it's towards a certain vision.
And it's towards a certain vision. So they understand. So they are going to that vision. Two, you get to retain quality staff that you have trained. All right. You don't get to lose them to competition, because you have imbibed in them your values, your mission, and all that. And then three, they will stay with you for long. They will stay with you for long. And these are people you have put yourself into them. So they'll be more willing to stay on and help you to attain the vision. So I would say, open up, share the information with the team, because you are working with them and you are in it together. It's very, very critical.
Okay. So talking of opening up, sharing the vision, talking of growth, where the business is going to be and all that, how do you draw the line between liquidity and growth? So it's like sometimes the business is growing, it's becoming prominent. It seems as though you have to have branches, be all over the place,
Yeah.
people seeing you. That is the sign of growth.
Mm.
Or is growth actually having money, enough money that when things happen, you can easily turn around? So between where do you draw the line between growth and liquidity?
All right. So this is quite tricky for business owners, and these are things that the businesses we help manage, they find it quite tricky because as they grow and they make money, they are torn between having cash on hand and having cash that they can use to invest and grow the business. They are even torn between taking money for their own personal use because they see that the business is growing.
Yeah.
It's a unique opportunity for me to buy a fancy car. It's a unique opportunity for me to take that trip to Dubai, to South Africa. All right,
On the
all from the
owner's
same-
drawings.
Exactly. So they are torn in between that, and it's because they don't keep proper records.
Yeah.
All right. So the first important step is to be able to keep proper financial records. Comes back to the tools that we mentioned. So if records are properly kept, you are segregating what is coming in, what is being spent, and what the owner also can spend. As much as possible, the owner doesn't dip into the financials of the business. All right. Two, there is something that we need to understand called the business operating cycle. So every business has an operating cycle.
Okay.
Let's take Melcom for instance. We've seen Melcom grow in leaps over the recent years because they've launched an expansion drive where their vision is to make sure every community you are, you see a Melcom. All right. And that is the model, business model and structure they are put in place. Now, your cash operating cycle defines how you get cash to buy the products you want for the business. So let's say you are supplying laptops. You take money to buy the laptops offhand from your suppliers. How long does it take for the products to be off-take or bought by your customers? All right.
Yeah.
So let's say you order the laptops from China. It takes about 60 days to get to Ghana. All right. You supply to your customers. Some decide to supply cash and some do on credit. If you do credit, it means your operating cycle is widening. Let's say you do 30 days credit. That's 90 days. All right. Now, after 90 days, we expect that they would have paid you cash. And that would be your operating cycle. It means that your operating cycle is typically 90 days for you to give out cash to your supplier and for you to receive
Let's give out cash to your
your
supplier.
supplier to give you the laptops,
Okay.
for you to supply to
your
your
customers
customer,
and
and for
receive
him
cash
to
from you.
pay you.
Okay.
The operating cycle is 90 days. If you take Melcom, when you walk into Melcom, I'm not sure they will give you credit. So Melcom has the flexibility of expanding because anybody who walks into Melcom is paying cash. So what it means is Melcom may order products from outside for about maybe 60 days. When it gets here, in our 5 days, they get cash. That's a very short operating cycle.
Operating cycle.
So it gives Melcom the leverage to be able to do investment, which is growth. So they can establish branches in communities because their cash operating cycle is short. Their cash operating cycle is short. So if you understand your business and you realize that your cash operating cycle is longer because you give out goods on credit, you cannot afford to be growing and establishing branches. You'll be locking up your funds that can be used for salaries, for fuel, for electricity. You'll be locking it up, yes, in growth. And that is where businesses need to understand that the longer my operating cycle, all right, it means that I'll get cash longer amount of days. So I have to reserve money more for my liquidity so that I am liquid. Anytime there's a demand for instance, the generator runs out of fuel, will you have enough cash to go and buy fuel
and run the business?
and run the business for you to generate more than to put that money in another branch, a new branch. So that is where business is. Once you understand your cash conversion or operating cycle, you'll be able to find the fine lines between how much you put into liquidity, which is excess or light cash you have, and then growth, where you put in money for investment.
Investment.
Yes.
Right. This is a full MBA class. This is a full MBA class.
But practically, businesses need to understand that so that when they are spending, they are very mindful. Because as businesses grow, um, one of the things that we often see is that as businesses are growing and they are getting cash, then a lot of funny ideas come into the minds of the entrepreneurs. They get a lot of dreams. They will call
Yeah.
you, Alfred. Charlie, I see myself in South Africa establishing a branch. I see myself because the business is growing.
It's great.
It's growing.
Yeah, they are seeing the money.
They are seeing the money. So they want to do things and the passion is there. But we tell them to slow down. All right. Take your time. Build your base where you are now in Ghana. Establish yourself. Build the base there before if you go out in the next 5 to 10 years, you can step out.
Yeah.
That's very critical for business.
Great. So you should know your cash operating cycle.
Very important.
Build your base
Yes.
to know when to launch out into bigger things.
Exactly.
Okay. I hope our audience, you're enjoying the conversation. I've been writing you. You have seen me on my phone all the time. Like, I'm really writing notes because these are nuggets that you would get at a very expensive cost. So, thanks to Blair Connect, this information is coming to you totally free, and I hope you are going to take advantage of it. So let's move on quickly to people.
All right.
Right. I don't want us to dwell because of time. Let's push it a little bit faster, and we want to take questions from you online. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section, and we'll take that from you. Now, in our conversation, we have been talking about people, capacity building, get the right people, let them stay, things like that. But if you have been in business for some time in Ghana, you notice that getting the right people can be very difficult. I remember we were employing for a certain role. It took us over 6 months to get the right person because you have to do interview upon interview. People come, they say big things, you give them projects to do, and you realize that what they are saying and what they are writing is a very big gap. So, how do you attract and keep the right talent when growing a business?
That's another area that businesses have found very worrying. Yeah, because people appear on interview panels and let me use for lack of a better word, are hypocritical. All right. So,
Vibes.
Yeah, vibes. They say all the best stuff.
Yeah.
But when the job is given to them,
Yeah.
delivery, they are always short. They are always short of delivery. I would say in attracting the best talent, as businesses grow, they will need to now, what I would say, outsource some of the functions, all right, to experienced people in the industry who know the right people in the industry, all right. Outsourcing is very critical because as a business, you can't do everything.
Correct.
All right, you can't do everything. Just like we specialize at home. I mean, as a man, there are certain things you cannot do. No matter how good you are in the kitchen, your wife is far better than you.
Yeah, all things being equal.
So, in the same light as businesses, we have our core skills and our specializations, all right? And HR and talent acquisition and retention is one of the critical things that you can outsource as you start off, all right? People may think outsourcing is expensive, but hire a wrong person for a role, and you can imagine the cost that comes with it.
Yes.
Because the person will not deliver. So if you outsource it, you put the burden on somebody who has been in the industry, knows the right people. That entity should go out there in the market and get the best person for you. And this is something that they've been doing over and over again. It's something you can easily follow. That is key. But if you decide not to outsource, all right, for whatever reason, and you decide to acquire talent for yourself, I would say always look out for people who have the right attitude and not necessarily the skills. So,
Attitude over skill.
attitude over skill. So hire, so I would say this, hire for attitude and not skill. Hire for attitude and not skill. So go in for attitude, because I tell you, when it comes to skills, we can teach you what you can do in the job. If the job requires that all you need to do is to stack up papers in a printer, stack up papers in a printer, stack
Yeah.
up papers in a printer. When you come onto the job, we can teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
If it's a factory hand where you need to maybe be passing on some products so that people will label it, when you come into the job, within the
Can be
first
taught.
2-3 days, it can be taught. But we cannot really imbibe into you the right attitude. People come with attitudes. All right. So look out for the correct attitude. Is he on time for the interview? During the interview, what are some of the things that you saw? Was he fidgeting? All right. Was he speaking aloud when even the interviewers are speaking undertone
Undertone.
and cool? All right. So those are the petty things that we as business owners need to look out for. All right. Another important thing aside the attitude is the fact that we can always do with the referrals. Referrals are another way. Aside the fact that in business we get referrals, customers are given to us and all that. Even in acquisition of talent, it is possible to have someone refer to you, a good candidate. All right, because possibly he's worked with the person before. He knows his attitude. The person probably may have gone out to do a course and is now coming back. I mean, somebody can give you a call and say, please hire this candidate for me because I can vouch for his attitude and for his skill. So it's another way that businesses can acquire talent and also retain them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So hire for attitude, train for skill, and then you can also depend on referral.
Yeah.
I think talking of referral, it takes me to the last conversation we had around personal branding. So I think that you guys should listen to that conversation as well on personal branding with Dr. Van Dyke. It will really help you to set yourself up for referrals from other people. I'll not talk too much about it, so go and listen to it. We have it. So you go to YouTube, Law Connect, you have it there, and you can listen to it. So that's people, and culture. Culture is another thing.
Yeah.
I've seen people who come in and they have the attitude to work,
Yeah.
but very soon the culture of the place just brings them down.
Yeah.
How do you build a culture that supports the vision of the business?
So culture starts from the top. Culture always starts from the top. There is no way subordinates can develop a particular culture without the support of their line managers or their leaders. Right? So I would say to develop the right culture in an organization, in your business, you the business owner, the entrepreneur, the CEO, set the right example for your staff. You want people to always walk into work early. Be the first to be there. Yes. I've worked with several bosses who, before I get to the office, they're already there. And they've started work already. You see them sending mails up and down. It sets you up for a very achievable day. All right. Because most of the things that probably couldn't do the previous day, late in the day, you have stacked them up and you have pushed them through. All right. So for you to develop the right culture in a company that you have established, make sure you set the example. In a company where, I mean, people can just sit anywhere and eat, because the CEO himself, when he comes to the office, he walks in, he has his bowl of fufu and he sits anywhere and he eats. Anybody in the company will also sit anywhere and eat. Meanwhile, there's a kitchen or there's a canteen where we are supposed to be eating. Can you imagine when customers walk in? I remember I worked in a company where, in a branch, where we sit to eat is also at where the customers are. So anytime customers walk in and it's lunchtime, the whole office is full of either kenke and fish or some soup, and then the customers will be grumbling. You guys, you work or you eat here. Yeah. So if they watch the leaders and they see that the leaders imbibe or display the right culture, they show correct work attitude. They are always on time. They are not absent at meetings. In meetings, they only speak when they are called to speak. That is the culture you want to build for your team and for your company. And it will run through from the top to the bottom, or even the cleaner. All right. In companies where the CEO himself makes himself dirty, all right, where he can even walk to a customer, talk to the customer, find out how the customer is doing, how has our service been for you, and all that. what happens is that the security man or the watchman is also very much awake when it comes to customer service because
Right.
the CEO is himself showing it. So
Right.
when customers walk in, the watchman or the gate man can easily greet the customer because that is what the CEO does.
Yeah.
And that is what he sees.
Leadership by example.
Leadership by example. So we as business leaders need to walk the talk. We don't just need to talk. We need to walk the talk so that the right culture will be shown in the organization.
Right. So the right culture is started by leadership. Leadership needs to walk the talk.
Certainly.
All right. Now, this has been like one of the very prominent issues for me when it comes to launching a business and building it in a way that is sustainable, especially when it comes to sustainability. How does the owner now move to CEO? Or how does the owner build a business that outlives his presence? How do you do that?
All right. So, you know, in our part of the world, like we mentioned earlier, people want to hold on to the business they have, the knowledge, the skill set. They want to keep it within instead of letting it out. But for you to build a business to last, you need to set up systems and structures that will outlive you. For you to be able to build a business that lasts from generation to generation, you need to set up systems that will outlive you. All right.
Yeah.
So if you are in a company, you've set up a company, and the accounting department is there, there needs to be a software in place that makes sure that even when the senior accountant is not available, the deputy, the account officers can work. Okay. The account manager doesn't carry work to the home, and then when he's not at work in the day, work is at a standstill.
Everything is stopped.
Everything stopped. Same applies to the CEO. If we are to deliver certain products to a customer, let's say we sell chairs, swivel chairs, and we need to deliver to a customer at 8 a.m. using our vans, we cannot say that the key for the vans should be kept by the CEO in his pocket, such that when he hasn't shown up to work at 8 a.m.,
The van doesn't move.
van doesn't move to deliver the products. You are building a business that will collapse on your head. So we need to develop a system where we know where keys are and they are locked up. All right, two people come, they open it up, we take the keys, and then we can deliver, and the customers are satisfied. So business owners need to build systems so that they become just like a CEO, but they don't just become an owner. So that when the business is there and it's running, in its absence, work still continues. That's one. Two, I believe leaders and business owners need to do a lot more delegation. We've talked about capacity building.
Yes.
The reason why your boss will not give you a job to do, a particular job description, is because he fears that you may not be able to deliver
Do it well. Yeah.
according to his expectation. So if we build the right capacity, we can delegate. All right. Delegation is quite critical because if somebody is absent, another person can take over and do what is expected to do. If we are supposed to weed a particular area, clear a particular land, and there's only two people in the company who can do the weeding or the clearing, and it means that in the absence of those two people,
Nothing happens.
cannot go on. So we need to train people on how to do it.
Yeah.
And then we can delegate more.
Yeah.
Delegation gives you the opportunity to also take a seat back and also do other stuff. All right, and to have everything on your desk and your laps, and then you run and you burn out.
Overwhelmed.
Yes,
Yeah.
you burn out. The last thing I want to touch on is the fact that as business owners and as CEOs, we need to have a proper succession plan. Very critical. If you think or you believe that this business you have set up, you have launched, the growth is such that you will need somebody who can step into your shoes as a CEO, and that person is your son, is your daughter, then you need to carry him or her along. I know of a company in Ghana, a printing house, where the owner has set it up, is built to last, and he has passed it on to somebody who was a family friend.
Mm.
In his absence, the work goes on
Goes on.
unabated because they started the business together. He employed him, and he's been with him for more than 25 years. He has children who are of age, but he believes that this particular family friend who has been with him for all these years is the
Run.
best person to run the job. And eventually, what the CEO you can do is to give him some shares in the company to motivate him to stay. All right, because he has the expertise.
Please repeat that part again.
So business owners need to
Yeah.
have the comfort of giving out shares
Yes.
to other people who they
As
believe
part ownership of
as
the
part
business.
ownership of the business to be able to run the company.
Yeah.
You are not giving him 100%,
Yes.
20%, 15%, so that he feels a sense of entitlement and ownership in the company.
Mm.
When he's working for you, he knows that he's working for himself as well. There's an FM station that everybody loves to tune into. That is the We FM. What is in it for me? So if the person knows that there's a lot at stake for him,
Yeah.
there's a lot for him to derive value from this particular work he's doing.
Yeah. They put in a lot.
He put in a lot. He
Yeah.
will deliver the best value. So we need to have a proper succession plan, and it should be documented. So these days, when we are learning to business, we ask them, "Can we see your succession plan? Have you documented it?" Then they start scratching their head.
It is not there.
It's not there. And we are working up to businesses whose owners have passed away and the business has scrambled, all because there's no documented succession plan.
Yeah.
All right. It shouldn't necessarily be your family, and we should have the comfort and the willingness to be able to hand over a business to somebody who is not a family friend, who is not a family member, and say that I entrust this business to you. I know you would carry the business to the next level. You will take care of my children anyways, but you will carry the business to the next level so that it's sustainable, and that is quite important.
Wow. Very, very interesting insights that you're giving us. So moving from owner to CEO, delegation, documented succession planning or succession plan. I like the part that you said documented.
Yes, because we always assume that my son will take over the business. We always assume that my daughter will take over the business.
Yeah.
It's an assumption.
Yeah.
Because you will know that the youth of today have their own mindset, they have their own vision, they have what they want to accomplish in life, and what you have accomplished is very different from
what they want.
Yeah. So it's important that as you carry them along in this process, you also document it for them to know. All right. And documentation makes it easy for everybody to refer to when there is any issue. You cannot be at the workplace again. You always have something to refer to. Because it's documented.
It removes any ambiguity, any fracas that might happen.
I mean, we've seen in this day and age where a company was set up, run efficiently, and right after the demise of the
owner,
key shareholder, the owner, the wife said the business is for him, for her. The firstborn said no, he has to run the business. Fortunately, he had the stepchildren, and two of them also said they were coming to the office on a daily basis, so they need to be in charge. All right, and it's all because nothing was documented. Yeah, everybody assumes that once he passes away, this is what's going to happen. But when it's documented, we always have a reference point, and the lawyers can do an easy job.
I think I was listening to one speaker who said that for him, what he has done is he has written his succession plan, and he has taped it and put it at a certain place, and he has told the people in charge of the business that in a time where he's not around or in his demise, they should open that docket and then take the paper and open it and give them the steps of the things that they should do.
Exactly. And so there's clarity.
There's clarity.
There's clarity. Everybody knows what will happen after your demise.
Yes. And when you spoke of delegation, it took me back to the primary school I attended. So there were two primary schools primary schools in my area. One primary school, the owner was running it with his daughter.
Okay.
The other primary school, he was just running it as business as usual.
Mm.
When the primary school I attended, who had his daughter with him,
Okay.
when he passed on, the daughter was able to run the business just as the dad was running it, and even better.
Mm.
The other business, when the owner passed on, there was a lot of fighting. Today, the business is gone. So the issue of delegation really
Very
becomes
critical.
prominent.
And I think, I don't know why it's peculiar to schools, but it looks like when it comes to schooling, a friend of mine told me that it's a calling.
To start a school.
To start a school is a calling. So once you are called, the children were not called. So it's quite, but it shouldn't be so.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a calling.
Yeah. You can train for the skill.
Yes, you can train for the skill. And I think we should have a deliberate plan as business owners to carry our children along. It could be different people, it could be family friends, it could be people you have worked with, but there should be a deliberate effort to bring people along and not to just sit at one place and then all the information is with you and nobody has access
You become a king.
the information.
Like a president today who is becoming a king. I've not mentioned anybody's name. All right, so this brings us to the end of our second episode on Blur Connect. I want to say a very, very big thank you to Accra Old Boys Association for executives for making this possible. Without your support, we wouldn't have come this far. Thank you so much for making Blur Connect come alive. And this is our second episode, and we look forward to do even more. Next month we'll come here, we'll have another conversation, another insightful conversation that's going to help fellow B make better decisions concerning their business, their families, and anything that is really, really important to them. And if you have joined us all this while, my name Kwabena Michedapa, and I've been your host for today's event. And I was joined here by Bleobi Alfred Norte. Thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you so much.
You have shared a lot of insights that I believe for me I've written a lot of books. I'm really going to read through these things and make sure that I employ them in the businesses that I am running. And I'm sure that you listening to us today is going to do same. And also do what to share the link. Okay, this is going to be live on YouTube. So please do share the link. If you are listening to us on Zoom, you can go to YouTube, copy the link, share with your friends. Let other B get involved in this, because we are building a strong, formidable force that is going to help B stay connected. Not just stay connected in a way of just sharing pleasantries, but stay connected in a way of sharing information that is going to help us to get to the next level of our respective lives. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Let me just make sure that I've not missed any of the thank yous I have to say. Yeah, so our next episode is coming on next month. So please subscribe to this channel and stay connected for our next episode. So thank you. And this has been Blur Connect with myself, Kwabena Michedapa, and Alfred Norte, aka Marshall.
Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, we'll see you in our next episode. Stay blessed and see you soon. Bye for now.